Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as long as we're still doing it, put this way, give the forms to Mr. Maury over here. As long as we're doing paperwork, collecting Macy's forms. There's a handful of other people. Let me have them. Let me have them. Okay, otherwise, again, this is last call. Last call for getting the Macy's forms. As I promised, I got to get it to him by 4 o'clock today. Is there anybody else who has not handed Mr. Maury the form that he gave out? Okay. So any other street law forms? Okay. Thank you. Okay, I should have them all. Okay, folks, on the subject of forms and paperwork, round 2 and round 3 coming up. Let me send out a whole bunch of extras. Of the form. This is the one for parents and for your other teachers. I'm sending out, there should be some extra when they come and collide at the other end there. I'll come and get the extras. Can I ask you to please start shopping these around next period? I need these. And by the way, let's be very blunt. As of Monday morning, I do not have your name in this copy of this. I will send you, I'll say hello at 34th Street. And then I will turn around and I'd say, it was good seeing you this morning. Now go to school. Again, I have to have it. I'm not legally entitled to take you out of school unless I have this document signed off on. So make sure you get that back to me. I would like it tomorrow. So we need to shop it to all your teachers tomorrow morning before class and right now after. Round 2, DOE form. This one, as long as you're going to take it, the other one to your parents. I don't know if minors can sign this one, but let's be on the safe side. Can I ask you to just get parents, as long as they're signing the 8x14, have them also sign this one as well. So that way at least it's all done and clear. Okay. Okay, come around. Okay. Next up. Okay, folks, let me, before I forget, what I am trying to do, again, take these forms, put them away but not deep and buried, so you do remember to take care of it next period. Okay, next up. How many of you, last year, if I say the words Schenck versus U.S., Schenck versus U.S., how many recognize that from last year? Beautiful. How many of you, New York Times versus U.S.? What if I had the word Pentagon Papers? Beautiful. Okay. Look, last year in the AP class, you guys tackled Schenck, you tackled New York Times. What I would like to do tomorrow is I have a sheet, it's a little bit on both of those. It's going to be review, I know that. Just get you back in the mood. And then I have for you an assignment here. It's the handwritten portion over here, in which we're going to take those concepts and apply them to a situation. So ladies and gentlemen, sending these out. I'll take back extras. So right now, just skip to the handwritten part where it says assignment. It's on the same side as Schenck. Again, I'll take back extras. You just read the handwritten part right now real quick. And then I want to talk about it for a moment. So flip the handwritten side. So flip it over to the side that says U.S. case of U.S. versus Schenck, and then it also says assignment in the right, in handwritten. Thank you. Who knew what you could do with dietary bone recycled textbooks and a little bit of chalk? Go figure. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, the hypothetical that I just cited, yes, great, there you go. The handwritten. Okay. In this hypothetical, this idea of publishing how to make an atomic bomb, yes, it is a product of my diseased mind, no question. But by the way, it's drawn from a real situation. Several years ago, a magazine called The Progressive was given or had access, I don't even know how, but from a Princeton student, they had a recipe, a cookbook for how to make an atomic bomb. Diagrams and all. The Progressive magazine saw it as their mission, as their duty, and we can argue that later, to publish, such that anybody could go down to the newsstand, go pick up your copy of Mad Magazine, and while you're at it, for another $4.99, get a copy of the Progressive magazine, and now you will know how to make an atomic bomb. And obviously copies could make it their way anywhere in the world. Interesting. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there's clearly issues there. And by the way, they have something to do with Schenck, and they have something to do with New York Times versus US, and other issues. So ladies and gentlemen, here's what I would like you to do. On the sheet of paper here, it says, I want a whole one page, I want it typed, and I scratch that. Let me just sneak back here, and let me just show you what I do want you for homework to do. I've given you this handout, Schenck versus New York Times versus US. Can I ask you, in lieu of the entire thing, in lieu of the entire page, I just want a paragraph. I want you to think through Betty Bradley, Katie Graham, their newspaper, their article. How is Schenck like this case? Is it precedent? How is it different? Can you distinguish the Schenck case from this one? Similarly, New York Times. How is the school newspaper like the New York Times? How is it like the flyers that Schenck was handing out? What is the threat posed? And let's see tomorrow if we can begin to sort some of that out. Now, tomorrow we are going to be doing, we haven't quite settled. There is another possibility for the moot court that we're going to be doing tomorrow. The Supreme Court shall be in session here tomorrow. But can I ask you to prepare for that? I have a slightly different hypothetical, or somewhat different hypothetical in mind, but it will involve the following two cases. They are in your street law textbook. The term in yellow, you may have read it last night when you were looking around, the guy who starts pissing off 1,500 people, calling them all sorts of nasty things, like this class. The Nazis in Skokie. You'll read about that as well. So just on these two pages. So come in tomorrow armed with number one, a written paragraph from Schenck and New York Times, and this hypothetical I gave you, having read term in yellow and the Nazis, and then also again that permission sign form, that permission form sign. Okay? Questions? Going once, going twice. Okay. As long as we're doing administrative crap, let's keep going. Number one, don't forget permission forms. Number two, as you know, you got your grades today. Nobody came up behind you with a sharp knife. Nobody hit me with a blunt object. I'm hoping that everything is copacetic. If it is not, come in, I mean, this has been around all year. Come and make an appointment with periods 1, 2, 5, and 8. I am not teaching, to the extent that I ever have. Okay. Come and make an appointment. Usually those periods I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. So again, you'll need to make an appointment, pick a room. This room is occupied, all those other periods. So, or come here 10th period for tutoring. And we can sit and we can chat, again, about the grades. Questions about any of the administrative stuff. So you have the permission forms, you got the homework assignment, great, okay. Groovy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you can go ahead and put away the papers I've given you. Keep that permission form right handy for your next period teacher. And with some lined paper in front of you, let's see if we can figure out a little bit more about speech. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, You know what, actually, I'll tell you what, I have one additional bit regarding the homework, a bit of policy that we can set here for the room. I just want to, well, I need to quickly establish something. If you are a male, could you please raise your hand? I hope you're short. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Issues, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. If you are a female, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, one more bit with the homework. I propose the following policy from now on. If you are a male and you do not wish to do homework, all you need merely do is say 3 times the name of some female in this class. She will then have to do the homework for you and bring you breakfast. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, God bless democracy. Let's put it to a vote. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I think you what a nice guy. What a nice boy. Sorry, go ahead. Okay, folks. Ain't democracy great? Yes. Ain't democracy great? Okay, so, okay. By the way, just for the record, you know, it's funny, it came up in the last class and somebody said, well, but why do people hate the smaller group? And I suggest you, by the way, do you guys, the majority of you, do you hate the females? You actually, well, I mean, I like some of them. I don't know why, but you do. So, we gotta figure, this is a curious one. The majority oppressing the minority, and it's all part of democracy. Yay, go democracy, rah, rah, rah. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to figure this one out. Is this in the Constitution? Is there a protection of the minority in the Constitution? Well, I'll tell you what. Let's take a look. Does it protect the, well, I'm going to call the minority or the individual? I mean, obviously the individual is the ultimate minority, is it not? A minority of one. Okay, let's take a look. Let's see. Constitution, 1789, Article 1 talks about one branch of government, the legislative branch, and oh, that's right, Article 2 talks about a second, and that would be, of course, the executive branch. And how many branches of government? Very good, 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 good. And that, of course, would be the judiciary. Lovely. And ladies and gentlemen, that is separation of powers. And you can't be the president and also be a member of Congress. No, you got that. Don't have to be. And we also know, let's see, how many, and just for the record, Mr. Kahn's favorite question of the year, how many governments are there? You know, I should see every single stinking hand. I really should. Alex, come on.
There's 51.
Marvelous answer, Alex. And please explain that.
There's 51 for each state, and there's 1 for the whole United States.
Okay. Okay. And Alex is obviously right because Kahn said so. It's good many times. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and just a reminder, clearly we know that in Albany, the capital of New York, there is a legislative branch, a little L there, and they make laws and they apply only to the state of New York. And then you go over and you go to the governor's office, and he is the chief executive, and he enforces all those laws that are applicable here in the state of New York and nowhere else. And then, of course, did you violate the law or not? Let's leave it to a New York court to decide whether you did or not. And New Jersey, I don't know why, but they have their own separation of powers and their own government, and Arkansas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we know, again, we have 51 governments. And we know, let's say it's Article 1, Article 2, Article 3. Oh, yes, right, Article 4, what happens when Arkansas and Mississippi start arguing over who's poorer? Ooh, that would be... Sorry. Okay, at which point, Article 5, amending the Constitution, Article 6, Supremacy, the national government versus any one of these states. Article 7, let's get the whole thing signed. I don't see anywhere in there that protects you poor females. Now, I don't mean because you're females. I mean because you're the minority in this room. And we've just had a wonderful exercise of good old-fashioned, true blue, red-blooded American democracy, and you guys are bringing them breakfast tomorrow for all the guys. I don't see any. Did I miss something there? I don't think I did. I don't think I missed anything. And yet, okay, so ladies and gentlemen, where does that leave you poor females? Here's the mark cuts. Okay. By the way, let's figure this one out. You, poor females. And by the way, let's take a little bit more realistic. What happens when, oh, I don't know, a member of the New York executive, a cop, arrests you? A cop arrests you. And now it is New York State and its 3 branches versus little old you. Majority, minority, minority of one, individual. That doesn't sound too fair, does it? Matter of fact, let's slow down a tad, shall we? You, poor female. You're going to have to go out and hire a lawyer at what, $200, $300 an hour? The government of the state of New York, they already have lots of lawyers. They have an army of lawyers. They're called prosecutors. You need to go establish an alibi. I really wasn't there. I need an investigator to prove where I really was. And let's see, at $150 an hour, you can go out and hire an investigator. And the cop, guess what? The state of New York, they have an army of them. They're called police. That doesn't sound like a very level playing field, does it? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, or the FBI charges you with. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, where do we find those protections? Where do we find? The cops come along and they say, Karina, we are going to search you. We're just going to search you upside, downside, every which side. Intrusively, thoroughly. George. Bill of Rights. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, look, I mean, come on, 1789, you've been there, you know this. 1789, the Constitution, the main body, 7 articles, the Bill of Rights follows swiftly thereafter to protect poor Karina, you poor females. And by the way, I could have sliced and diced the vote any way. It could have been blondes versus brunettes. It could have been people wearing sneakers versus people not wearing sneakers. I mean, good God, it could have been easy. The minority, making a minority takes nothing. A numerical minority. At which point, we know, of course, let's see, we have this Bill of Rights, and it is meant to protect you, the civilians, which is probably why we call it civil liberties. And that's why we're going to find them all concentrated there in the Bill of Rights. And let's figure out who is the minority or the individual being protected. Clearly we know that, I mean, again, the 4th Amendment, 5th, 4th, search and seizure, 5th, right not to be coerced into a confession, 6th, fair trial, 8th, cruel and unusual punishment. This is for you who is accused of a crime. The ultimate minority. All the machinery of government is now basically in gear to prosecute you, and now let's level the playing field. You look to these 4 amendments for help. Okay, we also, today, obviously we're going to be looking at the First Amendment, speech, assembly, press, and they're same thing, First Amendment for protection, for leveling the playing field. Okay, a few more things. I just want to cover 1 or 2 little sort of them. They seem obvious. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. You know, I've started recently a new exercise program. Have I told you all recently that I hate you. It's a very odd program. It calls for me basically just to swing my arm. What's wrong, Mike? What's wrong? You don't like my answer? No, don't even. Okay, just for the record, what's wrong with this? I go to the park all day, I swing my arm. Anybody have any problems? Does anybody say I have no right, I do not have the right to swing my arm? You got a problem? You got a problem with it? What's the problem? So why is that my problem? I have a right to swing my arm. I have a right to do it. Or you're saying... Good. Look, let's be very clear. Rights that we will be talking about, rights are not absolute. Karina has a right not to be searched up to a certain point. The point at which a cop says, I see you doing that, I have probable cause, damn straight I have a right to search you. My right to swing my arm, and again, I mean, my right to swing my arm ends at Seema's nose. I have rights, but they are rights up to the point where, again, if rights conflict, they must be balanced. And again, just so for your notes, Kahn swings his arm. That's one right, and Seema not being hurt is another right, and we got to balance those out. And we will come back to, I mean, that's a balance we're going to play around with a lot. Schenck versus US, New York Times, etc. We got to play with this balance. Now, with that much said, let's figure out a little bit more about what is the nature of speech. Sounds pretty stupid, doesn't it? Speech is speech, right? Dina, stand up. Say something, Dina. Anything you want. Preferably about how wonderful Mr. Kahn is.
Mr. Kahn is wonderful.
A little more enthusiasm would be nice, but that's good. Okay, come here. Okay. Now, Dina here, slow down, don't we have erected, of course, this soundproof glass, it wouldn't be a cage, a room, whatever, thing. And if we open up the door, and Dina, please step right in. And Dina, tell you what, I'm about to shut the door to this, in which case we'll probably see your mouth move, and you'll be talking. Of course, we out here will not be able to hear a thing you say, but your mouth will be moving, and we'll see you talking, and you can say anything you want, because we can't hear you. So we shut the door. I'm going to turn my back. Dina, what do you think of Mr. Kahn?
I hate Mr. Kahn.
The soundproof room's not working. Oh, Dina, you really... Oh, Dina. What grade were you? What grade did you have? Let's see. It was a what? Okay. Try that one. Okay. Dina's... Now... Dina, what do you think of Mr. Kahn? Stop. Okay. Let's open up the... Thank you so much, Dina. Oh, you can go. Okay, yes, you may. Okay, for the record, now you actually were able to see what she was saying. I don't want to know, for her sake. Does she have freedom of speech? It's a curious thing. Did Dina, during that time, in that locked, soundproof room, have freedom of speech? Yay or nay?
Yes, because it wouldn't really incite any danger to myself or to...
Okay, but I don't disagree, but did she have true freedom of speech? She was in there expressing her ideas, and you guys couldn't hear her. I couldn't hear her. Nobody could hear her. Did she have genuine freedom of speech? Jacqueline?
You shouldn't have genuine freedom of speech because part of freedom of speech is that you're able to share your views with others.
So elements of this thing that we call freedom of speech. One of them is damned obvious. You have the right to speak. The right to speak. Great. But like Dina in that soundproof room, how meaningful is it? Look, you have a right to print, you have the right to press. You go ahead and publish a newspaper, and every morning we're going to come by, we're going to pick up all your copies, and we're going to burn them. Go right back, and you can have as much freedom of press as you want. How meaningful is that if we come along every day and we destroy every copy of your newspaper? Let's be very clear. The right to speak and the right to be heard. Now, let's be very clear, that is the opportunity to be heard. You can't guarantee, I can't force somebody to read your newspaper. You can't force somebody to listen. But at least in theory, you should have the opportunity to be heard. Now, but one last quick thing. Do any of you keep a diary or a journal? Don't all jump up at once. Come on, none of you? This way. Well, clearly that just bombs the concept. Oh well. Put it this way, if one of you did have a diary, for argument's sake, would I be entitled to order you to bring it in and let's share it with everybody? No. Let's be clear, there is a right to speak in which you do not want to be heard, such as a diary, a private journal. But obviously for our purposes, we are talking about where 1 and 2 are triggered up. Okay? Now, with that in mind, let us figure out the following. Okay, so now we've figured out minority, majority, and we figured out where we find our protections, and we've looked at the elements of freedom of speech. And now let's turn to what speech needs First Amendment protection. And let's figure this one out. Raquel, you are a very wonderful and dedicated student. Andy, you make Brooklyn Tech proud. Mike, let's not talk about it. John, Mike, you just give me a compliment. Mike, you're a good guy. Okay, just for the record, Mike, Andy, Raquel, do you have any problems with me continuing? Okay, round 2. The only thing that went wrong on September 11th, 2001, is that one of the planes did not reach its intended target. That is the only thing that went wrong on 9/11. Osama bin Laden did a good thing that day. He did a very good thing, and all of the people who perished that day deserved to die. How many of you would like me to keep on going? How many of you, I have 5 minutes worth of material, how many of you would just love more than anything to hear me go on and keep on going and going on this topic? Alternately stated, how many of you are hoping to God that I shut the hell up? And if I don't shut up on my own, how many of you would look favorably upon somebody coming along in some manner or another and shutting me up? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am the minority here. I am the unpopular minority. Matter of fact, I'm so unpopular, I'm a minority of 1. Do we understand the earlier vote was actually, it was pretty unbalanced. How unbalanced is this room? 30-1? Oh, I'm unpopular in more ways than one. But do we understand that look, every once in a while somebody does one of these polls, and it's wonderful. They all come up with the exact same result. The first, they poll about government in America, whatever it is, and the 5th question says, do you believe in freedom of speech? And everybody checks off yes. And if they have a chance to put it on a spectrum, they say, I really believe in freedom of speech. Yay! And then they ask another 20, 30 questions, and then finally towards the bottom of it, the question comes up, should the Ku Klux Klan, this is from a case from about 3 years ago, should the Ku Klux Klan have the right to march in the middle of Central Park? And the majority of people say no. They should not have the right to march in Central Park. Let's understand, freedom of speech sounds wonderful because in your head you see apple pie and you see the flag waving in the wind, and it sounds all American, that people should be able to stand tall and boldly and mightily and speak good patriotic thoughts and be protected. But let's understand, what speech needs, does apple pie and God bless America need protection? No. It is theoretically and in reality, it is those who would say Osama bin Laden did a good thing that day. Now, I know that's unpopular, and I know that that's, I'm sort of hoping to piss you off. What speech needs First Amendment protection? Speech that you personally hate. Speech that you, I don't mean somebody else, I don't mean this theoretical. Because as long as we sit there in the world of abstraction, ooh, freedom of speech, people say unpleasant things and they must be protected. No, that's why I'm putting Osama bin Laden in your face. Because it's stuff that has to get under your skin for it to be relevant. Speech that you, not anybody theoretically, the speech that you find disgusting. Speech that you find hateful, disgusting. That is the speech that needs protection. Nobody needs, the majority, you will always protect free speech if it's apple pie. Okay. Round 4, whatever the hell round we're up to. Having now done the sort of yay, rah, rah speech, let's retreat a little bit, because we do know that there is that balancing act to be done. Okay. Do I have the right to lie openly, publicly, in print, or verbally about Herschel and how he was convicted last week of a really heinous felony involving, well, we're going to get into that. Okay, do I? No. Because that's false speech, and he will sue me for defamation, libel, written, slander spoken. I don't have the right to do that. Obscene speech, pornography, etc., a weird little category, leave that off to the side. There's some other speech that we would say, look, no, there are different types of speech. Let's turn to one, dangerous speech. Let's turn to speech that we would consider and say, it poses a danger. And you know what? This wonderful idea, this marketplace of ideas in which everybody sits there and can discuss an idea and see whether it's any good, and again, the marketplace of ideas, you know, the best counter to quote bad, and I'm going to put in quotes, bad speech is more speech, goes this concept. Don't shut it down. But clearly we know that sometimes, if you're going to, you know, something that's going to be dangerous, fighting words, it's not really much of a discussion, is it? Okay, so dangerous speech. Let me give you 2 hypotheticals, 2 scenarios. Scenario number 1. I am the head of a mob. I tell Olo, my chief lieutenant, in the mob to come in. There is a gun sitting on my desk, and I say to Olo, take care of Neil. I don't say another word. Olo clearly has picked up the gun. Olo leaves the room, and Olo... Ouch. At which point, let's be very clear. Okay, the cops come along, they arrest Olo. Olo has committed an act. Pulling the trigger, he has committed murder, he's done for. That's easy. They then come after me. And I turn around and I say to the prosecutors, Congress shall pass no law abridging the freedom of speech. All I did was say, take care of me. I use my words. You can't do nothing to me, because Congress shall pass no law abridging the freedom of speech. How many of you think I am going to walk out of the cell that day and be a free man? How many of you think, it's freedom of speech, I'm going to jail? Okay, and you are basically right. Okay, hang on one second. We're short on time, so I just want to, let me try scenario number 2. Scenario number 2 is the following. There is this mildly crazy teacher called William Kahn. He is in a school in New York. He is teaching a lesson on the First Amendment, freedom of speech. And in that lesson, towards the end of class, he turns to all 30 people in the room and he says, your homework assignment is to go out and to assassinate the Vice President of the United States of America. Go down, your homework assignment is to go and kill Joseph Biden. Poor old Joey. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, how many of you think that it makes perfect sense that Mr. Kahn, high school teacher, be prosecuted? Because by the way, I mean, this one, scenario 1, take care of Neil. Scenario 2 is far more explicit. The content of the speech is dead straightforward. Assassinate Joseph Biden. How many of you think I'm going to get prosecuted in? Okay, not how many want me to be prosecuted. How many of you think I realistically would be prosecuted?
If someone actually was assassinated.
Just based on this, let's assume none. In fact, how likely is it that somebody is going to actually act upon how many of you high school students here in this room are likely to go out, buy a gun, go and book a flight or a train ride down to DC, lie in wait for Joseph Biden, shoot him, come back here and tell me I did my homework assignment? Probably not too likely. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, how clear was the danger in 1? How clear was the danger in 2? How present was the danger in 1? How present was the danger in 2? Ladies and gentlemen, that's where we're going this evening when you read Schenck versus US, when you read New York Times, and when you do the one paragraph to figure out what's going on with the school newspaper that says, we, like the Progressive magazine, have a right. By the way, we don't care that it's unpopular. Popularity is not the issue here. We as a minority have protections. Raquel.
Somebody screams like fire and burning, I mean, building without fire, like, is that dangerous or?
Did you want to answer it?
Well, yes, it was the same speech. It was in actually a Supreme Court case.
Yeah. And it's one you'll read tonight, Schenck. Well, put it this way, if somebody in a darkened theater, I mean, the premise is somebody in a darkened movie theater jumps up and screams fire, people are unaware, they don't have time to sit there and discuss whether there is or is not a fire, people are going to stampede for the door. And in a darkened theater, is somebody likely to actually get physically hurt? Yeah, it is quite possible. Of course, alternately, you can scream movie in a crowded firehouse.
Good job.